In the heart of the Middle East lies a region that has captivated the world's attention for decades, Israel and Palestine. Now let's take a closer look at Israel and Palestine. But before we do that, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that done, let's begin our journey back in time. Ancient origins and the rise of kingdoms. Our story begins thousands of years ago in ancient times, when the region we now call Israel and Palestine was known as the land of Canaan. It was here that around the 17th century BCE that the Jewish patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob settled and established their presence. This area encompassed parts of present-day Israel, the West Bank, Gaza, and portions of Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. As the centuries passed, the Israelites flourished, and by 1000 BCE King Saul established the Israelite monarchy, marking the beginning of an independent Jewish state. After Saul came King David, who shifted the capital to Jerusalem, and his son Solomon, who built the first temple in Jerusalem. However, after Solomon's death, the kingdom split into two separate entities. The northern kingdom became known as Israel with its capital in Samaria, while the southern kingdom was named Judah with Jerusalem as its capital. During their rise, the Israelites faced numerous challenges, including attacks from neighboring nations and internal conflicts. Despite these hurdles, they persevered, and their cultural and religious practices continued to shape the region. Conquests and the rise of new faiths. As the kingdoms of Israel and Judah flourished, other empires emerged on the horizon. The Assyrians, Babylonians, and Persians each left their mark on the region through conquests and rule. However, it was the Romans who would have a lasting impact. By the 1st century CE, the Romans had gained control of the region and renamed it Palestine, an attempt to sever the Jewish connection to the land. But even under Roman rule, the Jewish people's attachment to their ancestral homeland remained strong. Amidst these external influences, new faiths began to emerge within the region. Jesus of Nazareth, a Jewish preacher and healer, started attracting followers, and his teachings would soon form the basis of Christianity. As Christianity spread, it found fertile ground among the diverse populations of the region, including the Romans, Greeks, and, notably, the Jews. Later still, another transformative figure appeared, Prophet Muhammad, whose teachings would lead to the emergence of Islam. With the rapid expansion of the Muslim armies during the 7th century, vast areas, including Jerusalem, came under Muslim rule. This marked a significant shift in the region's religious landscape. Crusades and the medieval period. As the Middle Ages progressed, the Christian world witnessed a surge of religious fervor known as the Crusades. Motivated by a desire to reclaim the Holy Land, European Christian leaders launched a series of military expeditions into the region. While the Crusades aimed to recapture Jerusalem and other holy sites, they often resulted in brutal conflicts and persecution of the Jewish population. Many Jews were forced to convert to Christianity, face expulsion, or endure horrific acts of violence. This dark chapter in history serves as a stark reminder of the deep-rooted animosity that has existed between different religious communities throughout history. Ottoman rule and the seeds of Zionism. As the medieval period drew to a close, the region came under the rule of the Ottoman Empire. During this time, the Jewish communities in the region continued to face challenges, including restrictions on their religious practices and limited access to education. However, despite these hardships, Jewish life persisted. Within these communities, the ideas of Hebrew language revival and cultural preservation took root. This cultural renaissance laid the groundwork for a larger movement that would eventually come to be known as Zionism. Zionism, which emerged in the late 19th century in Europe, was a response to centuries of discrimination and persecution. Jewish intellectuals and activists began advocating for the establishment of a Jewish homeland in the ancient land of Israel. This movement gained momentum as more and more Jews faced discrimination and violence in their home countries. For many Jews, the idea of a homeland where they could live freely according to their traditions and laws was incredibly appealing. The Balfour Declaration and the road to conflict. As the 20th century dawned, the region was caught in the midst of a monumental shift. The Ottoman Empire, which had ruled for centuries, was crumbling, and the stage was set for a new chapter in history. Entered the British. By the early 20th century, Britain had emerged as a global power, and the decline of the Ottoman Empire presented an opportunity for them to expand their influence. Against this backdrop, the Balfour Declaration was issued in 1918, expressing British support for the establishment of a Jewish national home in Palestine. This declaration, while seemingly a step towards realizing the Zionist dream, would sow the seeds of future conflict. Jewish migration and growing tensions following the outbreak of World War II. The horrors of the Holocaust, which saw the systematic persecution and murder of millions of Jews by the Nazis, shook the world. In the aftermath of this horrifying event, the international community was moved to take action. The United Nations voted to establish the State of Israel in 1947. The British, who had been administering Palestine since World War I, were hesitant to relinquish control. They introduced measures to restrict Jewish immigration, hoping to maintain control of the region and shape its future according to their own interests. But as the end of World War II approached, tensions escalated. In 1948, the British decided to withdraw from Palestine altogether. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the leader of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. Just one day later, on May 15, 1948, neighboring Arab nations, including Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, invaded the newly formed State of Israel. This event marked the beginning of the Arab-Israeli conflict, a conflict that would have profound implications for both regions and the world. Over the course of the war, Israel expanded beyond the territory initially allocated to it in the United Nations Partition Plan of 1947. By the time the war ended in 1949, Israel controlled more than two-thirds of historic Palestine. This outcome was a decisive victory for Israel, but it came at a great cost. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were driven from their homes during the war, becoming refugees in neighboring Arab countries or in the Gaza Strip in the West Bank, areas still under Arab control. This mass displacement had a devastating impact on the Palestinian people, creating a refugee crisis that continues to this day. As the years went on, tensions between Israel and its Arab neighbors remained high. On June 5, 1967, those tensions boiled over into a conflict known as the Six-Day War. The war erupted due to a combination of factors, including border disputes, territorial claims, and growing distrust. Within 6 days, Israel achieved a stunning victory, defeating not just Egypt, but also Syria and Jordan. The outcome of the war was nothing short of astonishing for Israel. It managed to capture the Gaza Strip and Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. However, the aftermath of the war was far from celebratory for the Palestinians. The war resulted in thousands of casualties and the displacement of hundreds of thousands more. Perhaps most significantly, Israel's victory gave it control over Jerusalem, one of the holiest cities in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This control heightened the religious significance of the city and intensified emotional and political stakes for all parties involved. And throughout the latter half of the 20th century, the situation in the region remained turbulent. There were moments of hope, such as the 1993 Oslo Accords. These accords were a series of agreements between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization. They aimed to bring about a lasting peace by establishing a framework for a Palestinian state. However, these agreements, while groundbreaking at the time, did not lead to the comprehensive peace that many had hoped for. By the turn of the 21st century, the situation had deteriorated once again, leading to a new uprising. The conflict continued to claim lives and deepen the divisions between the two sides. From intifadas to the present day as we enter the 21st century, the situation in the region continued to be fraught with tension. In 2000, Israeli politician Ariel Sharon's visit to the Temple Mount, considered holy in Judaism but revered by Muslims as the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, sparked a violent Palestinian uprising. This uprising, marked by bombings and other attacks, led to hundreds of deaths on both sides. Israel responded with military force, further tightening its grip on the Palestinian territories. The militant group Hamas, which advocates for the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, and the destruction of Israel, seized control of Gaza in 2007 after a conflict with the rival Fatah faction. This division between Hamas-controlled Gaza and the West Bank, which is governed by the Palestinian Authority, further complicated the path to any potential peace agreement. Today, the conflict continues to be a major point of contention in international politics. While there have been numerous attempts to broker peace deals, a lasting solution remains elusive. The situation is further complicated by global political dynamics, including the role of the United States as a staunch ally of Israel and shifting alliances within the Arab world, a legacy of conflict in the search for peace. The Israel and Palestine conflict is a deeply rooted and emotionally charged struggle, has shaped the course of the Middle East for decades. From the ancient ties between the Jewish people and the land of Canaan to the modern-day realities of occupation and displacement, the story is one of resilience, faith, and tragedy. As we reflect on this journey through history, it's essential to remember the human stories behind the headlines. The displacement of Palestinians, the restrictions on their movement, and the constant threat of violence are harsh realities that demand our attention and empathy. Similarly, the Jewish people's right to security and self-determination must also be acknowledged. Finding a lasting solution to this conflict will require courage, compromise, and a genuine commitment to justice and peace. It's a challenge that the international community cannot ignore. Only through dialogue, understanding, and a willingness to address the legitimate concerns of both sides can we hope to see an end to this protracted conflict. What are your thoughts on the Israel-Palestine conflict? Do you think a peaceful resolution is possible? Share your perspectives in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and share for more insightful historical content.